and welcome back to my channel, where today we're going to talk about 10 important things I wish I would have known before going to Olypmic National Park. Now, I hope these things can be beneficial to you, so let's move right into the intro so we can get this list started. Talk about the 10 things I really wish I would have known before going to Olypmic National Park. Not knowing some of these things, I missed out on a few opportunities that I really wish I wouldn't have. It was beautiful there, don't get me wrong, and I had a wonderful time. But had I have known these 10 things, I think that my time in Olympik could have been a lot more interesting. Number 1, bring a raincoat. Now, fortunately, I had picked up a raincoat because I'd been rained on throughout the entire Pacific Northwest thus far. But I definitely needed it there. I noticed that periodically throughout the day it just starts raining, and it doesn't necessarily always give you a warning. Despite having a raincoat, I made the mistake of going out into the rainforest because it wasn't too bad, only to get dumped on by the rain. So always bring your raincoat. I do suggest getting one of those that you can just roll up and stow away in your bag. Those would be so handy, and they take up such limited amount of space. I just had a regular raincoat and thought it was too bulky, so rather than taking it with me, yeah, I got rained on. Number 2, some trails will require a permit. Now, don't get scared. Not all of them are going to. Just know that if you're planning on staying anywhere overnight in the wilderness, they do require you to get a permit though. They need to make sure that you're okay. And there's nothing wrong with this. It just makes the process of staying in the wilderness a little bit more safe. I completely agree with this, like 1,000,000%. There are a few other trails, however, that are day hikes that also do require a permit. You can find these at the ranger stations, and these are also the ones that you're going to definitely want to be making sure you're safeguarding yourself against the critters, because there's a lot of them up there, like a lot. Now, if you did happen to miss my Olypmic National Park episodes, I am going to link them, and that'll give you a little bit better understanding of what you might expect when you're there. And you'll understand a little bit more of why they want you to be bear aware as well as critter aware. Yeah, it's a real thing, guys. Number 3, this is all about expectations. Your expectations might be that you're going to make your way through Olympik and hit all of the big, beautiful things. Your reality is there is no way in a week, a month, even a year you could see this. And for those who are only venturing into Olympik for a single day, well, you're missing out. So missing out. There are so many things that you can do and see there, and you're going to want to see as many of them as possible. Planning in advance is going to be key for time management, but you're also going to have to understand that you're more than likely not going to be able to hit everything. There are so many things. I went to Hurricane Ridge, for example, and there are 4 major trails that lead out of just that one point. Not counting all of the above and beyond kind of trails that you can take that are very tedious and not recommended for everyone. Now, I had the opportunity to check out a few places here and a few places there, and more than anything, I was compiling a list for my next visit, because I will be back. I will. I just don't want to be there when it's cold. So when you're there, take into account you won't be able to see everything unless you're just planning on staying there forever, and just kind of go through it as you can. Don't have expectations of seeing it all, because if that's your expectation, you will be let down. If you have an expectation of seeing a few things here and there, and then again compiling your list like I am, you will be A-okay. There are tours. That's number 4. Number 4 is tours for sure.
Tours for sure, number 4.
These are not park-led tours. These are privately ran tours, usually that bundle services. A lot of them do leave out of the Seattle area to make them more convenient for those who are flying in, and this is a great feature. One of the things I will say about these is you do have to pay for them, and some of them can get kind of expensive. I wish I would have known about these before, because I probably would have capitalized on some of the areas that they had in Seattle within these same tour groups. I looked, and one that did a 3-day tour in Olympik also had one in Seattle. So if you're trying to kind of stagger around and go all sorts of crazy places, check out these tours. They're awesome. Much like other parks, Olypmic National Park has number 5, closures. There are closures throughout the park for a variety of different reasons. and some of them might surprise you. I noticed that whenever I was visiting, they were about to have a closure in one particular area, and it was because of the fish.
Like what?
Yeah. Closures aren't just driving closures. You're talking about different kinds of closures. You have fishing closures in some areas. You have pedestrian closures in some areas. There's all sorts of stuff in Olympic that just doesn't exist anywhere else. It's bizarre. Anyway, I did notice that the leading cause of closures in the area was still roads. However, a lot of washout because of rains. Yeah, go figure. So if you happen to be in this area, you can always check for closures on the Olypmic National Park website. And if you're going to one of the forest campgrounds, like off of a Forest Service road, make sure you check the Forest Service campground sites as well, just in case. Number 6 is just a fun one. Number 6, they have webcams. I wish I would have known this before because I would have been able to see some of the viewpoints that are featured in these webcams and kind of be able to deduce if I want to go there or not. They have 3 major webcams currently online, and these are at 2 of the beaches and on Hurricane Ridge. The webcams come in handy for a variety of reasons. The first being, you can get an idea what's there. The second being, they're very peaceful to watch. The third being, you can see what the weather is on the particular day you're going. So if you happen to be heading out to one of the beaches or to Hurricane Ridge and want to check it out in advance, I do suggest you go online and check out those webcams. They're available on the Olypmic National Park website, and I'm pretty sure that you can stream them 24/7, even though at dark there's probably not much to look at. Number 7, maps. We've had discussions about maps before, and surprisingly, this is not going to be telling you to go download the offline map, although you should do that. Definitely do that. This is about the actual physical park maps. A lot of times whenever you go to a park, they hand you this map as soon as you go through the entry, and you have it throughout the remainder of your trip there. However, the way that Olympic is set up is a little bit different. It's not one single entry gate. So to kind of cut down on wastefulness and paper, they have centralized maps at visitor centers. I do encourage you to stop off at the visitor centers and either pick up one of these maps, or whenever you're out and about, just take a picture, like with your cell phone or with your camera, of the area that you're planning on going to at the reference desk. That will save a tree, and we're all about saving trees. Yeah. If you really want to be visual and super prepared, you can always download maps online before going to the park, and you'll have them right there at your disposal, wherever you are in your camera roll. I think that's a great idea, and I really liked that Olympic really promoted going paperless by taking these photos. That's a huge thing. Number 8 is all about lodging. Lodging throughout the park is a little bit different than in some of the other locations. Because there are so many entry points, there are tons of accommodations outside of the park, still within driving distance of most of the places you would like to check out. In the park, there are 4 major stops, however. If you're wanting to stay at one of these stops, you do need to make a reservation because they book up, like, way in advance. If not, you can always stay in one of the neighboring communities or camp. There is so much camping, like ridiculous amounts of camping. I found that whenever I pull up a map for camping that there were so many options that it was just ridiculous. And of course, whenever I'm pulling up my camping options, I am using the Dirt. That is the DYRT.com. That's the best place that you can find campsites. I'm just saying, people who are real people review them, and so you'll know what to really expect whenever you pull into that campsite, instead of just some generic thing that the campground puts up to pretend like they're awesome. Yeah. That happens a lot on regular sites, but on the Dirt, it's a real opinion. So you know, and usually there's photos, and that's super helpful, especially whenever you're camping. You know what kind of rig you can get in there. You know if there's going to be a bathroom. You know if there's going to be an animal-friendly area. You know if there's going to be a shower. You know if there's not going to be any of these things. So check out the Dirt, thedyrt.com, if you're looking for a campsite. Otherwise, make sure that you're online at least 4 or 5 months in advance of your trip to book one of those 4 accommodations in the park. You're gonna need it. Number 9, our good old trusty cell phone. Yep, it made the list again. I really want to make a list where this does not make the list, but cell service, like at all. If you have AT&T, don't expect to call anyone, like anyone, unless you are near one of the larger communities. And I'm not talking about just like any community. I am talking about it has to be a decent sized community. Yeah, it's just not fun, guys. If you are going to this area, you will want to make sure that you have offline maps loaded, like I wasn't going to say in the other one, but I totally have to here. You're also going to want to make sure that people kind of know where you are, because they're not going to be able to get in touch with you. I was in Olypmic National Park area for about 4 days, and the entire time it was radio silence, except for a little blip here or there. When I got up to Hurricane Ridge, I had service for a very short amount of time, but after that, it kind of fell off. There was just nothing. Verizon does work better, but again, it is pretty spotty, so just be prepared to be off grid and do all the things that you need to do to keep yourself safe just in case. What's number 10? Number 10 is programs. I really wish I would have known that they had as many programs as they do. Now, typically when you go to a park, they have a ranger talk or a ranger program that leads you out to a couple of viewpoints and tells you a little bit about something. Nothing too exceptional, just a brief history, and they do like 3 or 4 of these a day. But there are those little ranger talks at all of the major stops 3 or 4 times a day, and wait, there's more. They also have wilderness talks, and they have night sky talks. Night sky talks are phenomenal. That means that you have such limited amount of light pollution that you can see the brilliance of all of the stars. And it's so gorgeous. I really wish I would have known this, especially on the cool, crisp nights. Fall has less clouds. It's gorgeous, and yet I missed all of it. Oops. I hope that you have enjoyed our 10 things I really wish I would have known before I went to Olypmic National Park. Unfortunately, I had to learn some of these the hard way, but you at home do not, and I hope that you can implement these things into planning your own adventure, especially that tour one. It's super handy. Again, I am Bunny, and this is Bunny Plays Here. I hope that you have enjoyed today's 10 things and that you can implement them into your own adventures. I hope that you don't have to learn the way that I did and miss out on some of those fun things. If you've enjoyed today's video, please make sure that you subscribe and also ring the bell for notifications of future uploads.